sense. And I have some questions. I'm just like kind of talking, but I did wanted to talk about being a firefighter. You know, because we know you now as, you know, most people didn't know you as a firefighter, right? And so, you know, as a firefighter, what taught you in those moments about crisis, right? Because as a Marine, of course, I'm sure too. I mean, you've had a lot. I mean, you've had several deployments and being a firefighter, and I guess in both professions, what did you learn along the way about being in crisis? Because in your new position, you will have to have some moments where it's like, okay, we have to fix this right now, or we have to work on this right now. It's not going to all be, you know, roses. As I'm sure you're expecting. No, I'm kidding. And so with that, you know, what do you think those two professions have taught you, and maybe even just growing up, like about crisis and how to handle that?
Deep breaths.
Deep breaths, yeah.
Right, and so a lot of time when I was younger, those fires, we're going to fire. I'm all pumped up. But as I became, you know, a senior, a little
more
seasoned in there, picked up my fire officer status. I was like, once again, you're responsible for people.
Yeah.
You can be hyped up inside, but you have to be calm. You have to make sure that your presence for these people, right? In the Marines, we call it command presence, how you present yourself in leadership positions, right? It's, for some people, it works to be excited and those things. That's them. I don't knock it. Well, I learned that when I'm excited, I'm not focusing. And when I'm not focusing, then I mean, things can go wrong. And so I've always worked and continue to work on maintaining my composure, right? When I feel myself getting super excited, I breathe, calm down, and make rational decisions. I have to process things. Like, and it doesn't always work sometimes, and I get caught, and I'll get going, and I'll go back and look like, you didn't breathe. You didn't breathe. You didn't take that deep breath in your nose, blow out through a straw, and relax. And you're comfortable. You know how to answer these questions. You're not unintelligent. You know how to make these. You've been in every decision I make is someone's worst day.
Yes.
When they call 911, that's their worst time. Whether it's my smoke detector's been beeping for 2 weeks, I don't know how to handle it.
Yes.
Right?
I do it. I have to change it right away. I can't be that person.
That is so every day I had to learn that I'm managing people's crisis incident. Worst days, some days it's fire, some days it's the dog on the ice, some days the guys the other day had to get a young man off the roof, right? That's that individual's worst time. And for us, we look at, oh, it's just a job. Let's get this, let me check this off. Have you ever done this as a firefighter, right? But it's being calm.
Yeah.
It's being calm is the biggest thing because I in Iraq, I've lost some brothers. And so I always play those back like, did you manage that situation the best you can? Because at some point, I'm gonna have to talk to their parents, I'm gonna talk to their loved ones, and I'm like, did you do everything that you could? Like,
that's heavy.
Things just come, things just happen. Things just happen. One of the, changing to that, but I think the biggest story that I look at is one time when we were in Iraq, I drove over an IED. And the reason I know I drove over an IED is because it blew up my third vehicle. And I always play like, was I paying attention to my surroundings?
Yeah.
Did I pay attention? Did I see that? Did we purposely drive over that? Did I cause, 3 people to lose their life in the defense of our country? And I play that scenario quite a bit when I make decisions. So when people attack me, especially right now, who haven't taken the time to get to know me, they just like, this libtard or this anti-American person. I'm like, have you really even looked at who I am? I have no problem you talking about me. I understand this thing. But when we talk, let me make some policy first. Let me get in office, but don't attack my character, because that's one thing I don't play about. And I have to take those things in stride. But I always go back to, are you being beneficial to the community that's surrounding you?
Yeah.
And as long as I can answer that with a yes, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate you. Did you want to say something else?
No, I probably jumped away from the question.
No,
but
I love that because it was all real and it was all true. And it's, I really like what you said. I mean, I liked a lot of it, but I really liked what you said about, people thinking that, oh, I'm not intelligent enough, or I'm not, sometimes, I mean, even for myself, right? I mean, people, will ask you questions on the fly, and it takes me a minute to process, because not only am I processing what you're saying, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the most accurate answer for me,
absolutely.
right? And so I have this thing that I try to tell people, the difference between reacting and responding, right? And it's this idea that I don't want to just react to what you're saying and I just kind of fly off, and just say things. I want to respond. And so if I need a moment, it's not because I'm not intelligent, you know what I mean? I just want to be able to convey it the best way that I can. And I like what you talked about, just being calm. And it sounds so simple, but it's a huge thing, right? Especially in the moment of crisis, because even though it's not your crisis, you are going into, I mean, I cannot imagine. Let me tell you this story really quick. So when my children were younger, it was just me and them, and we lived in this apartment. And that was when those little, I'm going through brain fog, I'm sorry. But the little, when you plug them in and they were like, you could fry food, like the little big small. And those were really popular at the time, right?
Yeah, the grease fry,
Yes, and you have this little thing, and you put the grease in there, you fry it, and I was making chicken, and this thing started catching on fire. Because, over time, if you don't clean it well enough, so this fire started. So I instantly started thinking about all the people connected to us, because we were in an apartment. And I just freaked out, okay? I'm telling you, I'm running back and forth in the kitchen, and the lights went out. It was just this weird, because the smoke detector thing started going off, because it was
smoky in there,
and my kids are running. I mean, it was a chaotic scene. I mean, it was, and I did not even think to unplug it. I mean, I could have simply sat there and thought for a moment, unplugged the thing, and it would have at least stopped the continued
heating.
I mean, I'm running, and anybody knows me, I'm a little dramatic. So I'm running around, I'm screaming and yelling. I get the kid, I say, get out, It's just, and I couldn't remember in the moment, do you put flour? Do you smother? Like, which one is this, right? And so I couldn't imagine going into a burning building and hoping that I could help someone. I don't know, I tell people I've taken several CPR classes. Don't count on me, I don't know. Don't count on me, I don't know. And so I would hope in that moment.
Come on now.
I would hope in that moment, I'm doing the song and trying, what is it, Staying Alive? And I said, off The Office. And so, but I said, and I just remember that moment, and I was like, I could have unplugged it and just. But so the whole difference between I was reacting and not really responding to the event, and so you have learned to do that, and then also reflect on moments where you felt like maybe you didn't do all that you could do, which is a lot. You said something regarding, you felt like there was a need, and you felt like you wanted to be of service. Because I mean, it seems like your whole portfolio has been service, right? Serving people even before, you got the job as, in the Marines, and, you've been serving people. So how is it? So when we were in the cohort, we had to do the fake, campaigning, right? And I don't know if I took it extremely serious, just because it was so much fun, right? We were having a good time, and we knew the person on the other side was like really a nice person, pretending to be, kind of hard. But I want to ask you, what did you learn? Like during campaigning, I think about you as a Marine, as a firefighter, but I would imagine campaigning is its own thing, because you have to not only go into it when you talked about that, like commanding, you have to go into it with this surety of yourself. I'm sure there were moments where you're like, can I do, I'm sure you had moments of feeling if you were kind of questioning yourself. And so you go into this door. I don't even like going to doors to ask people for stuff, because people are not, and most people have Ring cameras now, they don't even want to come to the door.
Oh yeah.
But how did you learn anything during that? Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot.
Okay.
I learned a lot. Once again, never been a person to promote myself. So that was the hardest part. Like, they was like, yeah, just go in there. And it's even like when I was starting as a district assistant, like, Kristen's just like, go in the rooms, introduce yourself. And I would walk in, no one would look at you. Once again, because that's what I'm used to. I'm good just, and I was like, they were like, hey, who are you? Oh, I'm Chedrick Greene from Congresswoman, or, State Senator Kristen McDonald Rivers' office. Oh, come on. So that broke the ice for me. So then it was easier. Yeah. Just took that one. It's like, hey, I'm Chedrick Greene. Hey, I'm Chedrick Greene. So, I learned. So it was the same thing over on the doors. Like, just go out there and talk about yourself. It's like, I don't really like to talk about myself.
I hate when people ask you, like, introduce yourself and tell all this stuff. I'm just like, I'm just Aaron.
Like, Yep. And so he's knocking on the doors, and it was like, what do you want? Hey, I'm Chedrick Greene. I'm running for Michigan State Senate. 30-year Marine, firefighter. So that kind of loosened them up a lot. So then I was like, okay, let me build. Not everyone, but most. But now, this last month, these last couple of weeks, it's like, I'm walking up to houses and the people like, Chedrick Greene's coming on. So once again, you see the transition from
the beginning
getting in into now people are excited to have the opportunity to talk to me, have an opportunity to say, hey, we believe in you, or hey, why do you think you can do these things? And have that true conversation. So like, when you knock doors, there's a certain amount of doors you should knock. Mine's always taking longer because if people are home,
you're talking.
I'm talking. Like, we're talking 10, 20 minutes.
I would be that person. The people with me would be like, okay, we got to go to the next house. Yeah.
So, but it is good because I need to know if you like me or don't like me, I still need to know your concerns because once again, I want to represent the entire district.
What were some of the largest things, like the biggest things that you thought like people kind of expressed were some concerns?
The biggest thing is always affordability. How are you going to like, and I had to caution, right? So you start running, you get members that are good in media and consulting these things. Like, you got to say this. I was like, I, Chedrick Greene, whether it's Senator Chedrick Greene or Chedrick Greene, I understand I cannot lower taxes. But what I can do is to fight within my own group, within other groups to say, how do we give tax breaks to our working class people?
Yeah.
So
I think that's important.
Yeah, the wording is the same. It's the context and how you use the word, right?
I think that's important.
When I get beat up on social media, it's like, how are you going to lower taxes? Or how are you going to fight the president? Well, I fight the president because I'm a voter. So I vote for people who are going to align with what I look like. And that's the same here. I'm not myself with 38 state senators, 110 state representatives in the governor's office. I individually don't have that power. If I did have that kind of power, I'd probably use it for some bigger stuff as well. But I'm going to fight to lower taxes. I'm going to fight to make free universal pre-K for students. I'm going to fight for teacher salaries in smaller class sizes. I'm going to fight for local road funding, right?
Yeah.
That's what I am. But you can't put all that in a 30-second, 15-second commercial. So lower taxes, better schools, better infrastructure.
And that's where people get hung up, right? And because they feel like you are saying that, when really, again, you can't put all, who can do that? And who wants to pay attention? Nobody pays attention to that law, right? We have a different type of attention span.
Right.
And so I appreciate you for saying that, because I think that is one thing that a lot of people have complaints about with politicians across the board, is that they make these promises and it's like, well, you can't even do that. So why say that?
Right.
So,
but it's in the messaging, right? We're a short attention span society.
We are.
Some of us. And so we want the information fast. So once again, I just took 30 seconds to explain what I meant when I say I'm going to lower taxes. You don't have that. That just took up, I can't talk about anything else.
Right.
So that's what I learned. We talk about affordability on the doors, right? That's the biggest thing, right? And it's not just a mantra I have out there, because people are actually talking about it. My dad's talking to me about it. My mom's talking to me. So my two biggest important people in my lives are in my ear constantly about it. Once again, we're more alike than we are different. So hitting doors in Bangor Township, hitting these doors in the city of Millen, hitting the doors in Buena Vista Township. It's the same message all across the district.
Yeah.
We just view it a little bit different, but it's the same.
We do. And how we get to that goal is a little different, right? And so, but for the most part, I'm a believer in that too. Most of us want the same things. It's just what it kind of looks like to get there is a little different. What parts do you feel in most communities that you've been to feel unseen right now? Feel like they are being ignored or not? People aren't paying attention to them.
Well, I guess it really depends on the issue.
Sure, that makes sense.
You know, it depends on the issue. You go. I have a buddy that lives in Ingersoll Township in Midland County. Right, their big thing was the solar farm coming out there, where they felt like only a handful benefited, not the community.
Sure.
Right? You go to Bay City, and you know their number one issue is the bridge.
Yes.
But also. Or you go into Buena Vista Township, where their water treatment plant, their water system was so old it hadn't been updated in a while. So it just depends on where you are. You know, there's different issues that people talk to you. Some of those are local control issues, and some of those are state issues.
I would like to talk to you more, just off air, about some of those local issues. Just because, as you may know, we've been doing some work in Bay City for the last couple of months, and we'll be working there until August. And I'm just curious, to hear from you, like I said, at another time, just what are some local issues that you may have heard that could actually be worked on, right, locally. So I think that's important. So thank you for doing that.